Hello, welcome to ID Creatures. My name is Carla, and in this video I want to share with you the new features of Sketchbook Pro 6. It's the new version of this software, and it has a couple of new tools that are really interesting. So let's get to that. This is the first tool, and this is the other tool that's new in the toolbar. The first one, let's start with the French curves, okay? The French curves are this weird shape that works as a template, the same way the ellipse template works, and the ruler. It has the little dots that you can move it around with, and you can just click that and it turns off. Well, this is basically the same thing. You can move it around, you can scale it, you can move it, you can close it, or you can just switch shapes, which is really interesting. If you've been drawing for a while, or you've taken some art classes or drawing lessons, you've probably seen the French curves somewhere. It's a really cool way of drawing lines that have curves in them that you don't need to draw by hand. Because sometimes it's really complicated to draw this like weird shape that goes something like that. Instead, you can just draw, this nicer looking line. So basically it's just another way to draw curves, and it's really neat. So that's the new tool you have right there, and the other one is this one, which is probably a bit more interesting. Let me double click on that so you get the only option here for the tool, which is how much you want the smoothness to work. The name of the tool is Steady Stroke, and what it means is that if I go all the way to less, I can just wiggle my pencil here, or my pen, and you get this wavy looking line, which sometimes happens by mistake when you want to draw something and then something like this happens and you make a mistake. So now you can just move this, like, let's say to the middle there, and what I'm gonna do is just follow the same path, this wavy line, but notice what happens here. I'm doing the same thing, but the line is smoother, right? If I double click on that and I go all the way to more and I draw, I'm following the exact same shape, you can see how, you can see how different the lines are. So right now this was really exaggerated, and you probably are not going to use it that way. But notice how, let's see, I can take it all the way to less, and I can draw like this big half circle there. And if I double click on that, again, you can go all the way to more, and then once you draw the same thing, notice how much how smoother that looks. I'm drawing the same just as fast, because sometimes if you draw slower you get curvy lines, but I drew just as fast with the first line and the second line, and the result is so much better here. Again, you're probably not going to use it that way. The way I'm thinking this is going to work is by using it like somewhere around here. And probably again for car designers to draw really cool wavy lines, really expressive lines, this is going to work really well. I'm thinking they're going to get the most use out of this, because you can get really neat results here. Like if you write, I don't know, your name or something, it looks really cool. Okay, so that's what's new with the toolbar. And then with the layer window here, you don't have anything that's really new. You just have like a rearrangement of stuff. You have quicker ways to access the hide feature, adding layers, adding a text layer, deleting what's on the layer, lock transparency, and then the mode for the layer. That's basically what's new here. So you don't actually have something new, you just have something that's been rearranged to fit your needs better, which I think works well. And then over here, you do have some new ways of working, which is you can click and drag and you see the tools that are underneath. I think that's pretty helpful because you don't want this huge line of tools if you're not going to use them as much. And then this other cool thing you do here is that you click on this new icon here and you have all your tools. So let's say that for this particular project, I'm going to use this, I don't know, this tool a lot, so I can just click, drag, and place here. So I have a new way of making this space much, I don't know, simpler to work with, because you can click, drag, and you have the tools that you use the most. I think it's pretty neat you can do that. So that's another thing that's new. And finally, we have two circles here that help us with our brushes. The first one works just the same as the other one used to work. So you have this brush, you click and drag up, and you get a thicker line. Down, you get a thinner line. Okay, so that's the same thing. But the one on the left, let me use a color here to make this more obvious. What you have here is, let's say I draw this line here. If I click and drag and go up, what happens is that the light goes higher, let's say, so you get a lighter color of whatever you're working with. Obviously, if you go down, you get a darker value, okay? So that's what happens there. But let's say I use another color. So that was going up and down with the wheel. If you go left and right, so if I go to the right, I get this normal or regular color that I usually pick. But if I go to the left, you get the saturation goes down. So the color tends to go all the way to gray. So you lose color. And if you go to the right, the saturation comes back. Okay. So what happens here is that you lose color, and if you go up and down, you gain light or you lose light. So you get a darker or lighter value of your same color, but you never actually lose the color. And going left and right, you lose color or you gain color. That's pretty much the difference there. And let's see what else. I think that's it. Those are the new features here. You have the lagoon at the bottom, but it works the same, and you have the preferences, but they also work the same. The color stuff, it's basically the only difference here is if you use a PC, you won't see the crayons. You'll see like a different wheel, but the same thing used to happen with the previous version of Sketchbook Pro. So I think everything else is the same. I hope this helps and you're excited about this new feature here, because it looks pretty cool. So I'll see you on the next tutorial.